अगर इस चौराहे पे वारदात करी, अगले चौराहे पे यमदूत खड़ा है। हम तो दरखास्त दे के अपने आंसू राष्ट्रपति महोदया के यहाँ भेजना चाहते हैं। 3 buttons of my uniform open and I start dancing with my pistol in my hand. It is terminal cancer. I'm sorry to be using very harsh words. Removing corruption from India is like removing capitalism from America. Then it gives the impression that the government is not serious about punitive action. What you would like to make a tabiz and sell it at the Chauraha at every crossing?
So today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Vikram Singh. He's the former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, and he's very well known for his honesty, integrity, bravery, and for a lot of podcasts that he has done for a lot of digital channels. And of course, he's very vocal on TV also for his robust commentary. And currently, he is also the Chancellor of Noida International University. Sir, I've seen your podcast before coming here, and a lot of valuable life lessons, apart from, of course, a lot of commentary that you have made regarding the law and order situation in Uttar Pradesh, and a lot of international topics also you have spoken about. But I want to initiate this conversation from integrity. Do we have any integrity, which is the foundation of public service, any longer in our country?
Namaskar Hina ji, I am ever so grateful to you for finding time on a holiday to share ideas, give me ideas and inspire me. Indeed, I am ever so grateful to you, and I do hope that there's something valuable, something worth listening to, and a takeaway for the youth and others in the country. I would be truly blessed. Thank you for your time. You mentioned integrity. A man of integrity is a one-person army. Without integrity, there is no service and there cannot be any service. He or she will be a mercenary, maybe very competent. Robert Clive was very competent, so was Warren Hastings. So are so many others. But without integrity, they are absolutely good for nothing. And at the end of the day, the end product is going to be as horrible as a dishonest person. In Hindi, we have 2 words, safal. Chor and daku are also safal. But if it is not sufal, sufal is a person who is a person of integrity. He can never be defeated, he is indomitable and can never be defeated. And therefore, we need to have men and women of steel, people who have a passion of public service and nation building. But to your question, are we having the right human material? I would not like to believe that some engineer, and I would like to name and shame Mehra in Madhya Pradesh, recoveries of hundreds of crores, cottages, farmhouses, cars, a lady IAS officer, recovery of crores of rupees, and nothing happens. You also have, I blame both the giver and the taker, as also the government and the law enforcement machinery. You have to be cruel to be kind to decimate corruption. You have to have zero tolerance to corrupt practices. And when I say corrupt practices, integrity means to be an integral whole. It just does not simply mean financial integrity. Financial honesty is a part of total integrity. I should abide by the government rules, government subjects on reservations, government policies in respect of appointment and postings and promotions of minorities and those belonging to the weaker sections, and also of prohibition practices. Therefore, in totality, suppose I am a senior officer, do you think for a moment that I can accept expensive gifts on the so-called birthday celebrations, New Year's and the Holi and Diwali? No, I cannot. There are government and conduct rules on the subject that prohibit me from accepting expensive gifts. That is all a part of integrity. Can I go on social media? No, I cannot. To go on any media, social, print or otherwise, the government has to give me permission. And that too, when the government authorizes me to speak on a subject. Otherwise,
So even to start a social media platform handle, you need to have
a permission.
Okay.
I can speak only on 2 issues without government permission. That is scientific or cultural or social. Nothing else. I cannot say with 3 buttons of my uniform open and I start dancing with my pistol in my hand like the Bangam. That is in very bad taste, because the basic 2 tenets of any public servant is self-effacing, and to be in the background, not to expose yourself, and not to speak about, I did this and I did that. It is in poor taste. It shows that the person requires psychiatric intervention. Hina.
A lot of police officers take bribe. A lot of them are deeply embedded into corruption. But the political backing is there. They have something to lean on. So then how do we deal with this? Should I say that only judiciary is our last option?
You see, corruption is a multifaceted dimension and a monster. And which came first, the politicians or corruption, or these corrupt practices, is difficult to say. But corruption presupposes that some kind of a political patronage, otherwise it cannot survive. Whenever you talk of corruption, imagine that it is starting from the top, and I don't condone anybody in the department also. Likewise, if there is zero tolerance, you also had certain chief ministers, prime ministers, who were epitomes of absolute integrity. You had the example of Chaudhry Charan Singh ji. You had the example of Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, that upright life, absolute frugality in personal matters. So much so that when Lal Bahadur Shastri ji demitted office as the railway minister after a major accident, firstly he resigned. Then he said that Lalita ji, the lady wife, if there is dal, there will be no vegetable, and if there is vegetable, there will be no dal. That is the life of frugality that Shastri ji had. Today, when I compare, I find that even if there is a Gram Pradhan, you just go and see his lifestyle, the life he lives like a czar himself. Now, coming to your first question, a person who is corrupt has to oblige very many people to survive. A person of absolute integrity is not dependent upon any politician. He is not dependent upon anyone. And she is not dependent upon anyone. He can live with dignity and honor and having the satisfaction of a life nobly lived and a duty well done, because he is not dependent. He has to subscribe to the rule of law. And for that, he does not require any political support or patronage.
How do we deal with it? Because right now, as we are speaking, there must be, in many corners of the country, there will be transactions happening under the table. How do we tackle this?
It is terminal cancer. I'm sorry to be using very harsh words. So terminal cancer or cancer in the last stage will have to be dealt with in a manner that you deal it with multiple levels. Firstly, I fault that there are no bad soldiers. There are only bad generals. The top leadership will have to understand that they are responsible morally and legally for any corruption that is happening. And therefore, if they decide that they'll come down like a ton of bricks on any act of corruption, then Hina, I'm sure it will bring some change.
But so the people of the country are also, they have become, habitual of giving bribe to police officers to get a few things done.
Why
this
police
has
officers?
Become a deeply embedded
Corruption
phenomenon.
has become, as they say, removing corruption from India is like removing capitalism from America. In India, when a person is born, you have to pay, the mother and the father will have to pay their way to get the child born. And when the person dies, he has to pay bribe to get the person cremated. So even before a person is born, and even when he dies, the corruption is inbuilt in the system. It has become a part of our DNA. That is a tragedy. That is a tragedy. And as even the Prime Minister, I believe, once mentioned, there are 4 kinds of bribes: Nazarana, Shukrana, Zavrana, Dhamkana. I really don't know, but a bribe is a bribe and a corrupt practice is a corrupt practice. I'm sure if you would be able to go through Munshi Premchand's Namak Ka Daroga, and they try to enlighten the society that at the end of the day, an honest man is better than 10,000 dishonest men. But there are multiple roles. You mentioned society, you mentioned people, you mentioned the police, and I'm saying the leadership, and then the law enforcement agencies. You also talked of the judiciary. Do you think that anybody in this country is above board, including the judiciary? Justice Yashwant Verma ji of Delhi, an entire corruption of any state on one side, and the number of bundles of notes recovered in Justice Verma's house, and look in the manner in which the kid gloves he was treated. Whereas to the contrary, you should have been cruel to be kind. You should have ensured that he was sent to jail. You not only did not send to jail, but you obstructed anyone who tried to send him to jail. You obstructed the inquiry. He should have been removed from office then and there. If this is the kind of lackadaisical and the cavalier manner in which you are handling and dealing with corruption, This should be dealt in a summary manner, Hina, that a person comes to light, okay, I don't ask for anything revolutionary, but the least you can do, anything that comes to light, get a case registered, send the person to jail, put him in a fast track court, and decide in 21 working days. This is the least you can do. But you will decide in 10 years, if at all you will decide. You will decide in a manner that you are extra liberal to the accused, not to society or to yourself.
There is a bill that Union Home Minister Amit Shah is backing, which talks about how these people who have committed serious criminal offences needs to be removed from their position within 30 days. What are your thoughts on this particular bill?
Ideally speaking, this is an excellent measure, but I would be very happy if it is implemented. It's good to have ideas, but ideas are ideas only if they're not put into practice. They are only ideas. I would be very happy you have MP, MLA's court, you have fast track courts. How many cases of gross corruption have you found being punished? To the contrary, I feel that things have not moved in the right direction, especially in matters of corruption. And I do hope the Home Minister, he has been very successful in bringing up new laws, abolishing old laws. He's successful in implementing. This being done, rest assured, Hina, it will be a great service to the nation.
But there is a criticism that what if the ruling government, whosoever is in power, may misuse these kind of bills?
Anything, give me anything. Fire, weapon, law is not likely to be misused. Anything is apt. But there are checks and balances to see that the misuse does not happen. But first of all, make a beginning, at least try your hands out, make an honest intent. And I'm sure the great people of my great motherland will see to it that there is no miscarriage of justice as far as this sensitive aspect of jurisprudence is concerned.
Do you think that in Uttar Pradesh, the law and order situation is controlled because we have that kind of a chief minister in power and we do not see that kind of a clampdown happening in other states of the country?
You're very right. Within the state of Uttar Pradesh also, the faithful implementation of the rule of law. And when I say faithful, irrespective of caste and community. It cannot be selective. Show me the man and I'll show you the rules. Hina, it has to be faithful and transparent so that anybody who transgresses the rule of law, he should be aware that there will be consequences, and the consequences should be immediate, should be prompt, and should be taken into action, translated into action in immediate future, not indefinite future. That Muzaffarnagar riots happen and the investigation and the arrest and the consequences happen after years together. Then it gives the impression that the government is not serious about punitive action. In Bareilly, you would see, and other cases, the signal was very clear. अगर इस चौराहे पे वारदात करेगी, अगले चौराहे पे यमदूत खड़ा है. What the CM says means a lot because the police does not operate in vacuum. It operates in a system. And in the system, if the chief minister says, मिट्टी में मिला देंगे, the police force of 3 lakhs in the state understand what the CM desires, and then you can see the results for yourself. Also, the immediate action that was taken, and nothing very revolutionary, but also the implementation of the internal security scheme, which is the statute, which is a book that is there in every district of the country. But few choose to look the other way, not to implement it. But here what you saw in Bareilly and Sambal was a paper book, perfect translation of the statute into action. Prompt arrests, prompt use of minimal force, no use of lethal force. To the contrary, non-lethal force was used. Even though 22 police personnel were seriously injured in Bareilly, yet I salute the tolerance and the forbearance of the Bareilly police and their leadership for taking into action and bringing about peace without resorting to the use of firearms.
Tauqir Raza, his properties were demolished right after the Bareilly violence. Why did it not happen earlier?
To your question, I say that there are 100 patients in a hospital. First come, first served. Tauqir Raza Khan did not give the opportunity of service to the government of the department before. And the moment he gave the opportunity and that he wanted to be served, service was dispensed very promptly without fear and favor. You see, the government has not just the Tauqir Raza or anybody else. It does not have a priority list. But the moment I find that there's a person who's bent upon creating violence, vitiating the communal atmosphere of the district, then it is my painful duty to understand in what manner has he transgressed the rule of law. Like when a patient goes to the hospital, doctor says, I have a cold, but during the course of the X-ray that you have pneumonia, during the course of pneumonia, there is a biopsy that you have cancer. Then all the treatment from starting from cold to pneumonia to biopsy to every cancer, he is given a treatment. Likewise in this also, when he is being treated for creating a law and order situation, Hina, it is also came to light that he is earning 15 lakhs a month on the basis of monthly rent that he is getting. How? By constructing almost 80 shops on government land. That may not have come to the notice earlier, and the government decided there are other important things to do in the festive season. But when he chooses to challenge the authority of the law, हम तो दरखास्त दे के अपने आंसू राष्ट्रपति महोदया के यहाँ भेजना चाहते हैं, क्या अब हम रो भी नहीं सकते? देखिए, see the high sense of drama that he has. आप रो रहे हैं, ये रोने का लिहाज है आपका. आप कह रहे हैं पुलिस वालों के हाथ काट देंगे. आप डॉक्टर नदीम क्या कह रहे हैं, हम पुलिस वालों के कौन किसका हाथ काटेगा अभी आपको अंदाज नहीं है. रॉन्ग नंबर डायल करने की जहमत न फरमाए. प्लीज डोंट ट्राई टू चैलेंज द अथॉरिटी ऑफ द स्टेट एंड द पुलिस लाइक दैट. Look at the audacity. It is for the cyber patrol department and the intelligence that they said that Nadeem had tried to befool the administration that we will not collect at Islamia College, we will disperse after the namaz, Friday namaz. To the contrary, they collected and they said that we will chop off the hands, we will assault the police, we will kill the policeman, but we will see to it that our cause does not go unnoticed. With this kind of provocation, I tell you that Bareilly police has been very forbearant, very tolerant, and absolutely conducted themselves by the rule law, minimal use of force, and that knowledge. They are very lucky. If you can understand, if there had been a different breed of officers there, they would have forgotten their names and the names of their parents also. आप हाथ काटने की बात कर रहे हैं ना? अब हम आपको बताते हैं हाथ कैसे काटा जाता है.
When we talk about Uttar Pradesh, the violent activities are happening from so many years. There have been landmark incidents that happened in the state where these kind of clashes we saw, communal clashes and non-communal clashes. But do you think that the government needs to have a better communication with the people of Uttar Pradesh, because there is a lot of discussion around how the government is not treating the minority right? There is a discussion. I do understand that there is a law and order situation which needs to be dealt with in a very stringent manner. Having said that, do you think that the outreach of the government needs to be a little bit better?
You see, winning the confidence of the people is of paramount importance, and that is why it is held at the topmost level. To ignore anyone, whether the minority or the weaker sections, of course, should be the topmost priority. Not to ignore, but to have a dialogue and give them a self-confidence that their petitions and their requirements will never go unnoticed. To the contrary, the government will give the topmost priority to their requirements, to their safety and their dignity. And if anybody has not been able to do it, beginning from the chowki in charge to the station officer, to the superintendent of police, to the district magistrate, to the commissioner, to the chief minister, the views, the sense of security and the demands of the weaker sections of the minority should have the topmost priority, make no mistake about it. And if it does not happen, or the perception is made that the government is ignoring them, even that is bad enough. Today, a narrative is being built, the government is ignoring the demands, the rights and the sense of security of the minorities and the weaker sections. Because the vested political interests would like to believe PDA may form some kind of an acronym for you, but for me, everybody is sacred. Not just what you would like to make a tabiz and set it at the Chauraha at every crossing. Every single citizen of India, every single person is sacred for me. And it is the duty of every police officer and the government servant to see to it that he or she should devote herself to ensure the safety, security and honor and liberty of every person, not just the PDA, but every single person. And I do hope I am making a point clear.
Yes.
Because it may not make suitable street, I am not being very street smart when I use this two interconnectivity or intertransferability of both PDA and the non-PDA, because I am not a politician. For me, everybody is an equal. Of course, the PDA have special claim because of their weakness, economic or otherwise. But to make a fetish out of it, that is something that I would question always. Don't make a fetish of it. Everybody, as far as everybody's security is important, everybody's liberty is important, and everybody's honor is important. For you, of course, it makes political sense and smartness to create a fetish so that you can score political brownie points. When I say you, I mean my politician friends.
How much percentage of these police encounters are staged, and how many of them are real?
Again, we talked of perception earlier. To say कि encounter कर दिया, encounter कर नहीं दिया जाता है, encounter हो जाता है. It does not. Encounter is not orchestrated. It happens, and there are legal provisions to it. The Section 94 to Section 106 of the earlier Indian Penal Code in the right of private defense, and in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, if I'm not mistaken, I think it is 42 to 53 or 53 to 63. These 10 sections of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. And what is that? Minimal use of force to safeguard your life and that of any other person, so that that person is safe.
Is it misused, if I shall put it like that?
Did I not say that any statute is likely to be misused?
True.
And to say that 100% encounters are authentic, I'd be living in a fool's paradise. And that is why your concern is shared by the National Human Rights Commission, by the governments also, that there are certain safeguards that have been enumerated. And what is that? If the deceased family feels that there has been a hanky-panky or there has been a cold-blooded killing, they are at liberty to register a case against the firing and assault police party. And that case will be registered at the police station but will be investigated by some other police station, not by the same police station. A report will be sent to the National Human Rights Commission and also the State Human Rights Commission. A magisterial inquiry will also be ordered, and the investigation and the final report, if at all, will be scrutinized by a judicial magistrate. So these are the checks and balances that the government enforces, and there have been very many cases in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab where the police personnel have been sentenced and jailed for years together because of indulging in fake encounters. Therefore, the police leadership have a task at hand that they should also ensure that there are no fake encounters, and if there are any, they should intervene with a sense of purpose and register a case of murder against the delinquent police officers, because one fake encounters erodes the entire goodwill of the police force.
During your tenure, did you see this being misused?
Of course, I did see that. Multiple cases of Agra, Eta, where there were one or two fake encounters, and when the reports came, I registered a case and entrusted it. I asked the complainant, you tell me any officer you trust who will do justice to you. They named an officer, and I told them that you have been entrusted by the aggrieved party, the family of the deceased. Please see to it that you do justice. Don't try to see that since you belong to the police and the accused of the police department, don't try to help your buddies there. I would be extremely happy if you do justice to the investigation. And lo and behold, both cases ended in conviction. It is for the police leadership not to be on the side of the assailants, because there's a cold-blooded deliberate murder. A murder is even lighter, but a fake encounter is even worse. A murder in police custody. In police custody, you see, in this country, we have had murder of Mrs. Indira Gandhi, Sardar Beyan Singh, Chief Minister of Punjab. We had the murder of Rajiv Gandhi. A murder, and that too in police custody, is absolutely reprehensible and puts police in very bad light, including the murder of Atiq
True,
and
it appears that they were in collusion with...
Collusion or incompetent or both. But as far as law is concerned, law says that there was a judicial commission, and the judicial commission exonerated the police of any charges that they were complicit. And therefore, as law-abiding citizens, I will let the matter rest, because I am not above the law commission. I am not above the rule of law. If the law commission, if the commission duly appointed by the government had a judge who was inquiring the matter, I am not above him, and therefore I have nothing to say but to accept the findings of the judicial commission.
Latest, we saw that in Ladakh, Sonam Wangchuk was the voice of all the protesters who were demanding for the 6th schedule. There were a few, statements that the government gave, but no solid evidence that we saw in this particular case. He is behind bars. He has limited access to legal counsel. Do you think that this is a misuse of the act?
You cannot invoke the provisions of the National Security Act because you don't like somebody's face or at the drop of a hat. There have to be cogent and legal reasons. There are three conditions on which the NSA can be invoked. Number one, public order, that is known as Lok Vyavastha. Number two, national security. Number three, essential services and supplies. I'll give you an example. Lok Vyavastha is not law and order. Like my servant is here, he murders me, it's a sensational murder, it will be, but it is not public order. It is a local murder, and therefore it impacts the law and order of the area, that's about all.
Yeah.
Public order is when there is panic in the whole district of Noida or Lucknow and people shut their shops, run away in panic, go underground. That is public order. In case of Sonam Wangchuk, the government allotted him land for a specific purpose. He misused the conditions. He visited Pakistan, and I'm given to understand, I have no proof, but I'm given to understand that he met people who were inimical to the interest of India. Number three, during the course of the Ladakh is a very peaceful place. This is the first time such disturbances. Of course, it is my legitimate right to protest against the government also. It is my legitimate right to criticize the government if I choose to. But if I promote violence, if I instigate violence, as a consequence of which lives are lost, properties are burnt, then their responsibility will have to be fixed. Therefore, I for one, I have shared the stage with Sonam Wangchuk many times. He is a brilliant person, there is no doubt about it. And I believe, I don't see film, but Three Idiots was a very popular film, and he was behind the story of the Three Idiot films.
Yeah.
All having said that, I have strong reservations against people, your legitimate demands about the sixth schedule finding a place, and also I agree with whatever you are saying, that the local people should have a priority in getting the jobs. There should be a ban on any number of outsiders coming and establishing shop in the peaceful place of Ladakh. Ladakhis people should have their own ethnicity preserved. I agree in total. But to that I would say the peaceful means of protest, the legitimate means of protest, not violence. Violence is not the answer, because those that play with the sword shall perish with the sword. You and I are not privy to the intelligence report. But when when the district magistrate invokes the provision of the NSA, the matter goes to the advisory board, which is headed by the serving High Court judge. And if there is any flaw, that will be set aside in no time. Don't think for a moment that the district magistrate is the sky and nobody above him. The matter goes to the advisory board, and after the advisory board, it goes to the High Court. And unless the case is absolutely certain, with cogent and logical reasons, it will not stand the scrutiny of the advisory board and the High Court.
Additional DGP, he committed suicide in Chandigarh. There was an 8-page letter which was found in his pocket, and he talked about how he was harassed at the hands of his seniors. How much prevalence is there of these kind of harassment and mental torture activities in the police department?
Let me tell you that
at the hands of the seniors.
Let me tell you, the police department is a very disciplined department, and it's a family. It's a family because starting from the police constable right up to the DGP, they are one big family. There may be, I don't say that nobody is infallible and beyond reproach. There are fault lines, and those fault lines have to be addressed by the leadership. This is a tragedy, and the worst human tragedy, because the brother officer died before his time, and the allegations that he has leveled are very serious. I would not like to believe that the allegations are true, but the fact of the matter is, if somebody is giving his life, there has to be an element of substance in the matter and the allegations. I do hope that the topmost priority is given to investigate and inquire into the serious allegations leveled by the deceased officer. He was a very promising officer, a good family, but what prompted him to take his life and the allegations he's leveled need to be investigated very, very thoroughly by an SIT. I also, to your question, does this happen in the police? I have yet to come across, because we are beyond caste and religion. To the very end of my career, nobody could know what my caste was. People guessed whether I was a Jat or a Gujar or a Ahir or a Mallah or a Thakur or a Christian even. It was at the very end of my career of 36 years that people came to know, the public, of course. In your service records, it's known what caste you are. But you take pains to give the impression that you belong to everyone and everyone belongs to you. and should not give in thought, word or deed any indication that you are of this community and you have the propensity and the potential to favor this community or to be antagonistic to any other community. Okay.
We had a caste factor here in this particular case in Chandigarh, but apart from that, did you ever face any sort of pressure, at the hands of your senior that, hey, you need to do this, whether it's wrong or right, just say as per my command? Did you ever face this kind of pressure in your career, sir?
Never, never. I think a person who is upright and abides by the rule of law, his reputation is known to one and all. And unless that person has kind sentiments about himself, he never asks you to do anything that is illegal or illegitimate. Because Napoleon had said that in any organization, there is always a percentage of people, that is almost 1%, who are ever ready to do anything that is illegitimate for furthering their own careers. But I am not a part of that 1%, and I am happy that what Napoleon said is true also for the police, that I am sure that barring a few shameful exceptions, nobody will subscribe to anything that is illegal or illegitimate.
A journalist who was making a report on the pathetic condition of hospitals in Uttarkashi in Uttarakhand, his body, right after, a couple of days after his report, his body was found in the river. Seeing these kind of cases emerge when you do such hard-hitting reporting and a couple of days after you are no more, you have a family behind, they don't have anybody else to rely on. How do you tackle this situation? I'm asking you from a place of being a journalist myself. Are we safe in the country to ask hard-hitting questions to the authority, to expose these kind of truths? And especially at the time when we have these kind of social media platforms where everything goes viral so quickly.
Hina, I would advise you as a father that you are very safe. Journalists are safe. But what happened to that journalist? I would like a thorough inquiry as to the circumstances of his untimely and unnatural death. And this is not the first death. I am reminded that few years ago, or several years ago, there was another journalist in Uttarakhand who died under mysterious circumstances, and the matter was investigated by the CBI. Deoband, you may recall, just go and look up Google, and that also. And it's not only these two journalists that have died under mysterious circumstances. There are any number of journalists that have died under very mysterious circumstances, and a few investigations have revealed that they were done to death by vested and criminal people with criminal background. Therefore, first thing is that you have to be very careful about your safety and security. Not only by you, any person. When you're driving a car, you have to be concerned about the safety by observing traffic laws. In the police, you have to be very careful about when you are going out for ambush and combing operations. Likewise, when you are a journalist, more so if you are doing sensitive stories, your security is of paramount importance, and therefore your movement, security within the home, security on your movement especially, and security at the workplace. Please see to it, and then we can have another interaction. What can journalists do who are doing high profile investigations and high profile cases?
So you also led during your tenure Operation Majnu, and there of course you speak very highly of the operation itself and the kind of results it fetched for you and for the community. But I want to ask you this same operation, if it can be looked at from another angle, because in the recent times we saw a lot of reports where men are being harassed, men are committing suicide, and they are doing it because women are harassing them by asking a lot of alimony, maybe several other reasons. If you have to look at this, but if you are given a task, for example, from your senior that, Vikram, you need to solve this menace in the society, how will you tackle it?
Vikram will pick up the top 10 cases of the district and entrust it to ace investigators, which will at least have one woman investigator in the SIT. Pick up the top 10 cases of the district and let it be investigated by SIT, which should have at least one lady police officer. Use all the ballistic, scientific and forensic aids to investigation and investigate it at least in 30 days, put it into a fast track court and see to that the judgment comes in as early as is possible, so that the certainty of punishment is the biggest deterrent to any falsehood, including false rape cases, false alimony cases, false dowry cases and false charges in respect of harassment at domestic workplace and domestic violence. And you now have the tools and the wherewithal in the forensics, ballistics, etc. And a good investigation would be a perfect precedent. 10 convictions in 3 months. And let me tell you, they will be the game changers.
We have elections happening next month. And the same story I think will pan out this time also. There will be elections, there will be voting, and then there will be reports of booth capturing.
Hina, let me tell you that booth capturing is a thing of the past now. But
it happened more so in 80s and 90s, but we still see incidents of it happening.
Now what you have is the silent booth capturing. Silent booth capturing, you know how it happens? Bribe, money, gifts like sarees, liquor, and these are things. This is silent booth capturing. Now you have the technology, you have CCTVs, you have election commission officers at all levels. Now you have the social media, you have the print media, and the social media has been the biggest death knell of all booth capturing. But old habits die hard. Nobody can prevent the gifts of sarees, suit lengths, liquor and money. That also is a way of booth capturing. Appealing in the name of caste and communal matters, that also is booth capturing. But those days where people would go and 20 people would go to the booth and stamp all the, those days are over. So today you see it has been perfected into a very subtle art of managing people and not only, I would say, manipulating the mindset and the thinking process through illegitimate gift, because under the Election and Representative People's Act, giving of liquor, giving of gifts, giving of such gifts also is a crime, is an offence. And therefore, I would appeal to the district officers and the Election Commission observers to see to it that the model code of conduct is scrupulously followed. No gifts exchange hands, especially liquor, etc. do not reach the electorate and those who are supposed to vote.
So during elections, do you think that the illegal smuggling of liquor increases because we have these kind of activities taking place?
You see, unfortunately, what you say are very prophetic. There has been very large number of recovery of illegitimate liquor along the UP-Bihar border in the recent days. If you just see the statistics of the last 30 days, you see that recovery of illegitimate liquor, contraband liquor on the UP-Bihar border has gone up manifold. You know why? Only because of the fact that it is being smuggled into Bihar so as to be distributed to the electorate.
Then if we know that this happens during elections, then why is nothing happening in these border areas?
Of course, things are happening. That is why these things are being recovered. Had things not been happening, they would not have been recovered and they would not have been caught.
But then how are people emboldened to do this if we have right system in place?
It makes a lot of money. You see, even Tatas and Birlas and Adanis and Ambanis cannot have this level of profit. They convert 100 rupee note into 2,000 rupees as the smuggling of illegitimate liquor is, spurious liquor is, and also transporting liquor from UP into a state that is going into elections. That means a lot of money. First, they would try to win over the excise and the police officials. If they're unable to, then the police and the excise officials will challan them, recover them, and that is what the exercise of the proactive effort has yielded results. And I would compliment both the UP and the Bihar police for recovering unprecedented amount of illicit liquor.
So is it happening under any sort of joint operation or is it happening at both sides individually?
It always happens individually also, but when there are elections, there are joint operations, joint sharing of intelligence and joint raids also. I don't deny the fact that some of the liquor will not be taken away by them or misused by the local police officers. I also accept the fact. But 90% of the liquor will be displayed and declared as a contraband and almost 10%. But in 1 or 2 cases, if this does happen, I don't deny the possibility. But the police leadership, now everything is done. You know what? The advantage of having a mobile phone with, of course, people making videos, social media, and some very, very adventurous and proactive police officers, what they do is to take journalists along also. They make videos of the entire raid and the arrest and the recoveries. There is no escape from that because everything is into the media then immediately in real time.
If we talk about the other border, the West Bengal and Bihar border, we are seeing a lot of discussions happening now, especially around elections, of illegal immigration happening from Bangladesh to West Bengal to Bihar. How rampant it is, because it's reported that it's more prevalent in the Simanchal area.
Simanchal area, and you're very right, Hina, that's a very sore point and that has been taken up by very many, but there are vested interests who are politically well-entrenched people. Vested interest, I would say, because you know what they say, ये हमारी अमानत है. I fail to understand how can Rohingyas and illegal Bangladeshi migrants be your amanat. You know what amanat is? Amanat, that we
Treasure.
are, we are responsible for their welfare and their maintenance and their upkeep. I really don't know where this level of magnanimity you have inherited from. I was expecting that you'll expect where you are, the people you represent should be your amanat and not hostile Bangladeshis and criminal Rohingyas. The purpose is to give them Aadhaar card, voters ID, give them a fake residence permit, and then also give them the impression that they have been here, natural Indians who have just migrated from West Bengal, and to convert them into voters. This is a devious ISI plan that every sensitive constituency should have around 25,000 illegal Bangladeshi migrants, given voters ID, given Aadhaar cards, so that they can at least impact one constituency in a district. Like UP has 75 districts. If they're able to impact one constituency, you know what? The scary situation that 75 MLAs of duly sponsored, aided and abetted by the ISI will come into the assembly. And that's a huge number. They will not only be a part of the governance, but they'll also have a major role to play in the government formation as well. This is how scary it is.
If you were the DGP of Bihar, what would you do to eradicate the illegal immigration, the illegal immigrants?
I'll go back to your first question. There'll be 3 doses of medicine. First will be the Gangsters Act. Second will be the UAPA. The third will be the NSA. All movable and immovable property attached. You will be convicted even before the election start, so that you are debarred for contesting an election for the rest of your life. If you know what is good for you, you will not indulge in monkey tricks till the time I'm your DGP. Because I'll see to it that your political career is finished. Therefore, don't try to play and fool around with people who keep India first, not money first. For those who it is India first, and they decide to decimate all anti-national, they will do so in 45 days. This is what we have been able to do, and this any person will do if it decides to decimate all anti-nationals. Anyone who is aiding and abetting illegal Bangladeshi and Rohingya migrants is an anti-national. I'm giving you a very harsh statement, but this is what I feel. Every illegal Bangladeshi migrant Rohingya is a ticking time bomb, and therefore it is the duty of every Indian and law enforcement officer to defang, decimate and destroy that time bomb that is ticking between you and me and around us.
Coming to another border, Jharkhand and Bihar, talk to us a little bit about the problem of Naxalism over there.
You see, the Home Minister has said that there will be the end of the Naxal problem by 31st March 2026. And I would tend to believe, initially I did not believe that he would be able to do, but the recent successes of the paramilitary forces and the police forces against the Naxals have reinforced the confidence, and my confidence, that of others, old-timers, that yes, this is perfectly doable. Now only the residual part of Naxalism is alive. What began when we were young, as a student of intermediate 10+2, Mao Zedong's Red Book was very popular. Revolution begins from the barrel of the gun. क्रांति की शुरुआत बंदूक की नाल से होती है, लेकिन डिपेंड करता है कि बंदूक की नाल किसकी तरफ है. पुलिस की तरफ है, आपकी तरफ है. पुलिस की तरफ है तो क्रांति, और आपकी तरफ है तो नरसंहार. अब ठीक है, ये तो आपका इंटरप्रिटेशन है. बंदूक की नाल सरकार की, जनता की दी हुई है. It has been given to the police to be used for an appropriate and a legal purpose, and that it has been used. You would be happy to know that very minimal number of cases have come against paramilitary forces regarding human rights violation. They've taken surrenders also. They have rehabilitated them. They've created India Reserve battalions there. You can see for yourself in what manner and success that it is blow hot, blow cold. All kinds of treatment have been given to the Naxals. If you want to surrender, rehabilitation, they are there for you. If you want to engage, so be it, there will be engagement. And the recent success was an all-time 2 years of ration recovered, automatic sophisticated weapons recovered from the Naxal stronghold. And the manner in which they were able to get right into the den of the Naxals is a success story of fieldcraft and tactics and the training, use of futuristic technology like artificial intelligence, the drone technology and robotics is indicative that the security forces are at least 2 generations ahead of the Naxals, whereas till about 10 years ago, the law enforcement agencies were a generation behind the Naxals. And in 2008, when Ajit Dovalji was the director of IB, he said that 40% of India's land mass is in the cover and control of the Naxals. And today, see the situation. So I would say that yes, whether it's Jharkhand, whether it's Bastar, or whether any place, I think Tirupati to Pashupati, that's acronym and that tall claim no longer holds good. I think the only place is jail or bail, ye lok ya parlok. I think this should be the motto, this should be the standard call as far as Naxals are concerned.
So the internal law and order situation in Bihar is also not good, because recently, we see videos of people very freely entering along with their guns, entering a hospital room, killing someone, then getting out. Everything is captured in CCTV. What do you have to say about the law and order situation in Bihar? Why is the police not able to crack down on these people who are freely roaming around in this state with all these weapons?
You see, policing is a philosophy and an art and a science. And it's not a part-time job. It's a full-time job. And I feel that where such things are happening, obviously, something horribly has gone wrong as far as the policing is concerned, and the police leadership will have to set the fault correction, the course correction has to be set right. That course correction has to be there, and whatever the fault lines are, they have to be addressed too.
And these fault lines are gangsters and Bahubali culture in
Absolutely.
Bihar.
How can anybody move with impunity, commit a murder and go away? Why is not the Yamdut waiting at the next crossing? Why are there no consequences? Arrests have been made, but they have made late. And it seems that it was totally orchestrated. I'm sorry to say, but I would have the distinct possibility, it would seem, that it was orchestrated. Person goes, murders, goes away, and then he's arrested, and then he again goes to the jail like a hero, and then he's feted and looked after like a hero. As Mukhtar Ansari and Atiq were looked after in the jails like, as you said, the Bahubalis. If that be the case, Hina, I'm not very optimistic of the law and order improving in a big way. There seems to be a level of patronage at some level.
Paper leak scams in Bihar. These mafias, they go to printing offices, they seize the papers, they give them to graduates, and then they leak these answer sheets online. And then the students, I am asking this question because of the plight. Recently, we have seen a lot of voices coming out on social media where the students are talking about these issues.
Hina, this is the human tragedy, and it bleeds my heart to even to listen to them. Students, paper leak after paper leak after paper. I'm given to understand there have been recent years, there have been 18 paper leaks. And 18 paper leaks would translate that many of the students who started at the age of 18 are now overage. They are not eligible for any government jobs. That was best avoided. And one really has to try very hard to have this kind of a massive paper leakage. It is organized and orchestrated, and obviously it has meant big money. I'm more confirmed by what I'm saying. It confirms what I'm saying. Why? Because no deterrent action seems to have been taken right across the country. Take the weapon scam. Take the paper leaks in Bihar. Take the paper leaks in Uttar Pradesh. The STF have been able to recover, but deterrent punishment has not been given out to any crime syndicate. What does that mean? There have been an innumerable number of murders in the Vyapam scam, but the deterrent punishment to the defaulters, the delinquents and the criminals has not been meted out. Therefore, my conclusion is, with a very grave concern and an element of doubt, I would say, there seems to be a complicity at the highest level. That is why the paper leaks. You allowed it to happen.
And it happens because there's a huge amount of money
Oh
involved.
yes, that is why. The fallout and the loot is so heavy that perhaps everybody is a party of that loot, that this is the national tragedy. I do hope that the government has some roadmap to address this tragedy that is impacting the youth of the country and demoralizing them.
Muttaqi's visit to India. He recently visited Deoband in Uttar Pradesh. How do you look at this visit, given the fact that this seminary, Islamic seminary, Deoband, it has issued a lot of controversial fatwas in the past?
You see, the Afghan foreign minister is at liberty to choose to go wherever he chooses to. And Deoband Seminary is one of the most prestigious seminaries in the world, not only in India, but in the world. The Deobandi school of thought is the most credible face in the world of Islam today. And therefore, if the foreign minister of Afghanistan chooses to go there, well, it is his liking. He was also he got a seminary on the Hadith, and after that he was given the title of a Maulana also. And I'm given to understand he returned very, very satisfied. Of course, there have been certain fatwas that have had a lot of criticism outside, more so in respect of societal matters, more so in matters pertaining to the clothing of the women, more so in matters pertaining to the use of fashion and other use of technology. But that is a matter of debate. And a fatwa is actually an advisory. It is not an edict. It is an advisory. Like an advisory is given, somebody puts a question, an advisory is given. It is not binding on the people. But you cannot deny the fact that Deoband and the Deobandi school of Islam have a tremendous hold on the people subscribing to the faith and has far-reaching impact on them. Therefore, as far as the constitutional part is concerned, it is an advisory. It's like that. Should you be drinking tea or you should not be drinking tea? And depending upon what your choices you are making, the fatwa is there to reinforce and support you in the course of action that you are likely to take.
In your point of view, do you think that we need to cherish the relationship in order to counter Pakistan?
You see, you cannot choose your parents and you cannot choose your neighbors. We are blessed with wonderful neighbors, especially the failed state of Pakistan and a rogue state down south and in the east. Therefore, naturally, my enemy's enemy has to be my friend. And to that extent, I feel that Pakistan enemy, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan on Pakistan side and the Taliban of Afghanistan, they are already at daggers drawn and blows with each other. Therefore, it is a very sane and a sound policy that your enemy's enemy is your friend. And as of now, I feel it is a very sound and a perfect policy, smart policy to befriend Afghanistan.
Where do you see India in the next 5 years?
I see India going from strength to strength, becoming the third largest economic power, jobs for everyone, improved law and order, greater public confidence in the law enforcement machinery. To your first question, if a single Indian is unhappy or feels insecure, the government has miles to go before it sleeps.
Great. On that note, thank you so much, Vikram Singh, the ex-DGP of Uttar Pradesh, for taking out the time and speaking with Asianet News. It was an insightful conversation and hope to catch up with you soon once again.
Thank you, Hina. That was a great interaction. God bless you. God bless Asianet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.